Good morning, Internet. Nope. Welcome to Colony Lost. Welcome to a Oxygen Not Included tech tip video. Matsumoto-san Desu asked in a comment about a 10 kilogram sour gas boiler, which I've never actually made. So after much experimentation, which is where this design finally ended up, this is what I ended up with. I have tried multiple times for systems where you dump the oil directly onto the aqua tuners, but I find them to be unstable. Either the pressure gets off, the temperature gets off, something goes wrong with those designs that makes them too finicky for me. When I build the design, I want it to be stable. I want to control the pieces I can control and leave them alone so that once it's up and working, it keeps working. So let's go over the basics of the design. Obviously, your source of oil, if it's below 100 degrees, then you can use it to cool the steam turbines. If it's above 100 degrees, then use one of the aqua tuners to cool the steam turbines. At the start, I have this set to 5 kilograms. This is the oil heat counterflow. It's an oil drop system. So as the oil comes up, by having two tiles on either side of a liquid vent with a mesh tile underneath, you then get a blob that will displace the gas. Down up. And then as it goes through these temp shift plates, it exchanges heat. It should turn to petroleum somewhere around here and then hopefully flashes to sour gas. Automation, we just have a door sensor set to 550. If this isn't hot enough, close the doors. Simple, easy. This hydro sensor says if this hasn't flashed and there's too much oil, turn off the liquid valve. The liquid valve runs through an AND gate that says if this room isn't hot enough, don't turn on the liquid valve. So that should handle automatically turning on and off the oil for us. For this tepidizer, it says if this room isn't hot enough, turn on the tepidizer. But importantly, it has an AND gate that says if this liquid isn't cold enough, don't turn on the tepidizer. A tepidizer can produce more heat than the aqua tuners can deal with. So if you don't have this temperature sensor, this will actually heat up and then you've got to cool it down again, and it's annoying. This is set to negative. I'll set that to slightly colder. So this has got to get far below the condensation point of sour gas. We have two liquid tanks, each with about 300 kilograms of supercoolant. So that way it helps equalize the temperature of the aqua tuners. This right aqua tuner is running through the air, so right now it's not going to do much because it's in a vacuum. This aqua tuner is running through the tile and the supercoolant. This supercoolant you want to fit as much in as you can. So 900 kilograms is how much supercoolant you can have per tile. You need that thermal mass to help stabilize the condensation point. Each of these is set to negative 178. Cold enough to condense the sour gas, but not so cold as to freeze it. These door sensors just say if this room is too hot, positive 725, engage the steam turbines. Neither one of these runs all that often. You probably don't even need to, but it fit. Mass-wise, you want to have enough steam in here to stabilize this. When you're dropping 10 kilograms of oil at a time, if you don't have enough steam pressure, the temperature will change too fast. That's the issue I always ran into trying to go direct oil to sour gas off of the aqua tuners. Having 100 kilograms keeps this nice and stable. This is how many pumps you need once this system is running flat out. It's 7 rows of 2, so 14 1 kilogram pipes. And however many natural gas generators that is, it's a lot. Up here we just have a sensor that says if you detect natural gas, pump it, filters out the sour gas to come down here. Those are the basics on the hot side. So that will flash the oil into sour gas. That sour gas will get forced out here through the top. This airflow tile just kind of helps it get around in case natural gas comes in up here. This column then starts cooling down the natural gas. You want to have two tiles between, so that way your temp shift plates don't interact with each other. If they're only one space apart, like unfortunately I did here, this tile interacts with this gas, which interacts with that tile. So I could make this one wider. But let's just do that while we're waiting for everything to cool down. Don't know why I didn't think about doing this before, but that's fine. No, it still interacts with that, doesn't it? Screw it, we're just going to say we don't need this to interact. Let's clean up the floor. There, I don't think we actually need that at all. As this comes around, if it starts interacting here, that is perfectly fine. So right now we're waiting for the tepidizer, for this supercoolant to get cold enough to turn on the tepidizer and this room to get hot enough to turn on the oil. To start, we're going to start with 5 kilograms a second. Once it starts to stabilize, then we can up it to 10. So I'll pause you while we're waiting for the temperatures to come down. Our tepidizer is just about down to temperature. We're at negative 145. This room isn't hot enough yet. I'll go over the plumbing. Slow it down. This granite pipe won't exchange much heat, but it just kind of helps start the cooling process. And then this loops around. This one then jumps over the vent and loops this way. I tried doing this with 3 aqua tuners, but trying to fit in 3 pipes just didn't work. And you want to have as many radiant pipe segments as possible to exchange temperature. I used to have a thermium tile here, which would then exchange heat with this pipe segment and this tile, but I found that it just kept flashing the sour gas and the methane back to natural gas when I didn't want it to. So by having it like this, the warm-up takes a little bit longer because this aqua tuner isn't going to do as much. But that's fine. This is mostly for once there's a pool of methane here to help keep that methane from flashing. We're at negative 157. And this room is only at 500. So we need another 60 degrees of heat before the oil will turn on. So pretty soon we'll start to see this temperature sensor flip over and turn on the tepidizer, which again produces more heat than the aqua tuner could deal with. Right in time for a save. Set at 168. There goes the tepidizer. You see that temperature immediately jumps up by 2 degrees. So that will now go kicking back and forth, keeping the supercoolant from becoming too cold, keeping this running. And our room here is 550. We get that set to 560 and that's set to 565. All right, there comes the first bit of oil. Oh, I forgot to turn the pump on. All right, now that I have the pump turned on, now we'll get some oil. So this oil will come through here. It'll keep the steam turbines cool. I'll start to see the drops of liquid coming down. See right now they're flashing down here because there's no hot counterflow happening yet. We just flashed a little bit of sour gas, which this dropper will force up to the top. Now, as you can see, these tiles aren't hot enough to flash that. But now that we have some gas interaction, this aqua tuner will now start being able to do something. You can see we got little bits of methane. Yeah, we're not even getting frozen methane. And the aqua tuner still, there's some liquid methane. This hydro sensor is set to 50 kilograms, so we have a nice pool to help cool everything. Now the oil turns back on. Now it is flashing to petroleum way up here. Where's my liquid? So now that heat counterflow has moved up to 403 degrees, halfway up the column. This is granite, so it won't exchange much heat, and then up here, we're just trying to get some heat into the crude oil so we're not having to heat it all the way up. If you make that radiant pipe all the way down, you will get broken pipes. Now we're getting some condensation, but there's not a whole lot of it yet. Now our tepidizer is off because this room says it has enough heat. This room says that it's cold enough. We're just waiting for the sour gas pressure to come up enough to make all of the cooling be needed. There we go. Now these aqua tuners are running. So let's speed it back up. You'll see there are little bits of natural gas that will work the way up to the top, and then the system will pump it out of there. Pressure down here is already up to 5 kilograms, and we got our first hit of cold counterflow. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever done this where I didn't have Tim shift plates down here, so this is actually staying as a liquid. I'm gonna have to put that Tim shift plate back in. Yeah, in fact, I am. So, we want a Tim shift plate, we just don't want the top one, we only want the bottom one to flash that over. There we go. Because we want this to be a gas instantly. So this will exchange heat with here, but not with this other temp shift plate. So the cooling can come around. Alright, so this room is already up to almost 590. We're still only running 5 kilogram packets because we want to get this running a bit. Really what I'm waiting for is I want this room to be hot enough to constantly flash the 10 kilograms. So running 5 kilograms, as you can see, engages a number of the pumps, just not fully yet. And you'll see that a little bit of natural gas gets hit by the sensor, it pumps. And I suppose you could do this with 2 valves and 2 liquid shutoffs, have them each set to 5 kilograms and turn on the second one once the temperature in here reaches some number. The temperature in here is slowly creeping up. Pressure up here. Pressure up here is up to 80 kilograms. Down here we're up to 10. We're pumping pretty regularly. So now that we're above 600, let's crank it the rest of the way up. As long as this room stays above 600, we should be okay. Perfect, that's still climbing. So our temperature down here. Negative 170, negative 170. Okay, let's slow that down. Negative 170, perfect. That gives us 10 degrees of cushion. The flash point of methane is 161. So by having this down in the 170s, we don't risk it flashing into natural gas. And we should keep seeing the pressures come up. And now pump-wise, we're running 3 full pipes, almost. We're at almost 3 full pipes. We're just waiting for the pressure up here to increase. Gotta love high-speed mode. This corner should stay below 20 kilograms, so sour gas can come out of there. If you see the pressure getting too high, you just gotta turn off the oil and let it come back down. And how are we at room-wise? 620, perfect. So we are pretty darn stable, because this room is now just going to slowly increase in temperature until the steam turbines activate. And we have enough thermal mass to keep this counterflowing. Where's our liquid switching? Yeah, and so we're flashing to petroleum right around where the pipe comes in. This pipe is at 76, and then up here it's only 150, but we don't want it, we don't even want to risk it cracking in the pipe. But getting an extra 50 degrees out of this helps. Now pressure is slowly increasing down here. Let's let this run for a bit. So what do we got? Full pipe, full pipe, full pipe, and now our 4th pipe is starting to fill up. Now obviously you wouldn't be running these into a room, you'd be running these into generators. Now the pressure on this one, we should slowly climb as the pressure in the room increases. And I don't think the bottom one will get to 1 kilo. I think that bottom pair will always be slightly under. So yeah, this one's now constant 1 kilo. This one's just about there. So 800. And then we should start to see the pressure on that one come up. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Distance-wise, I found out that this column needs to be 20 tall. 22, 24. These need to be double insulated because these temp shift plates will inject heat and will actually cause this room to flash to steam, and we don't want to suck heat out of this. If this heat goes into that side, it's not as big of a concern. Temperature counterflow-wise, see over here we're at 100, and then it drops down. And we're at negative 50 by the time we hit this side. We want everything that condenses over here to fall down onto this tile and remain. Let's see, we're holding steady at negative 170. See if that comes down. Actually, I want to drop these. Let's make these negative 180. If this starts flashing the natural gas, then that can pack in the whole system and cause you problems. So a little bit extra chill on this side is not that big of a deal. And nothing will happen fast because of the 900 kilograms of supercoolant down here. Heating it up or cooling it down takes a little bit. Yeah, looks like we're there. We're at almost a constant 1 kilo on this bottom pipe. Means the pressure on this pipe will come up. So thank you, Matsumoto-san Desu, for suggesting making a 10 kilo one. I've never actually made one in survival or even in sandbox, because I just have never needed that much power. But I think this design is good and stable. It's kind of fault tolerant because everything has sensors. There might be some more automation you can do, and I highly suggest people give it a shot. I'll put the startup save file in the video description so you guys can try it out. If you have any questions, concerns, or other ideas, let me know. And obviously more tech tip videos will be coming out once they release the beta and the new update, which looks to be a lot of fun. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day.